Welcome back to the Innovative Agency, everybody. I'm very happy to be back with all of you today, and I'm really looking forward to today's conversation. And we have a lot of guests on the show who talk about business development, sales, some aspect of growth or another, but we don't talk about mindset too much, and of you as the agency owner or leader. And um, sometimes I wonder if we think big enough when it comes to um, our vision for our businesses, you for your agencies, me for my firm. And I'm excited to talk to today's guest who I think probably thinks we're not thinking big enough when we think about growth because his philosophy seems to be, and Solomon, I'm going to give you all kinds of opportunities to correct me, but thinking bigger is better, and thinking 10x is better than thinking 2x when it comes to your growth vision for your agency. And so, Solomon Timothy, I'm so excited to have you with me today to talk about all of this and and to get your perspective on how agency owners should be thinking about the whole question of growth.
Absolutely, Sharon. Thank you
And
so much for having me.
yeah, no, it's my pleasure. So do you kind of agree that it maybe starts with the mindset of the agency owner about thinking bigger than maybe they originally intended to, when they're thinking about growing or expanding their agencies?
Absolutely. And I'm going to come from my perspective. When I started, I just wanted to pay my mortgage. Like that was, we bought a house. Like, hey, I come up with enough money that we it was I was working from home at the time. So,
Yeah.
and then that was only like 3 months. We have our own office within like 90 days. Like my parents got tired of me. They're like, yeah, you need your own office. My dad went and got my office. And then now I have an office and me and it was my brother at the time. It was like
Mhm.
we have a big office. Like he went and got like this thing. And we had to get employees. So within like 5 months, I have like 5 people I have to pay on payroll. So and the office rent and internet. I mean, like this was a full on business. I had to figure it out. And mind you, I'm 20 some years old, 22-ish, not even 23. I think I was 23 would be ridiculous.
Mhm.
I was way young for that job, and I've never done a business before.
And this
So
was an agency that you started, right? It was a web
exactly, yes,
development, web
a
design agency.
web
Okay.
design, and that was literally, and right after that is the Great Recession. This is like 2006. I started 2008. We're like dead in the water. How do you grow a company, especially a kid, right? So somehow, like I said, I focused on the growth, and I've never made that. In fact, one of the biggest leap of faith that we've done is that we started to build our own technology because we understood that a service company inherently isn't scalable, because the only way to grow my revenue was to hire more people. And yes, that's great and all, but like everybody was doing things differently. Everybody had different systems and mindset or whatever you want to do, how they do it, what order they do things. I said, we're going to go become a tech company. I started to invest into our own tech, all while like everybody said talking about growth. I'm like, I know we're going to be bigger than this. I know we're going to have more revenue, right? Like not proportionate to the number of heads that we have.
Mhm.
And the only way to do that is if we automated it. We made onboarding consistent. We made customer reporting consistent. Everything about the experience has to be consistent from client to client, like we see at McDonald's, but we don't even take note, or we see at Chick-fil-A or at Disney World or anywhere, right? Like anywhere, there's always these systems in place. So, and that's kind of allowed us to start thinking big and
Mhm.
acting big.
Mhm.
uh, right, way beyond what humanly possible with what you might see in front of you.
Right. Well, when did you get though to the point? So you started your agency. You then decided to double down on your tech and become really more of a tech company. But you were kind of then running two parallel businesses. It almost sounds like because you were continuing to do service work, but you also created the
Absolutely.
technology.
The service
So
company funded my tech business. And the reason is we always had an excuse, like, you all need this. Like, we need
yeah,
this.
yeah.
It wasn't optional. And I proved to them, at the time, it was absolutely like any accounting professional would tell you, you're losing money on paper because you're buying and, going to India or wherever, paying tens and thousands of dollars a month for some engineers to code something that you can't even see yet. I'm like, but don't worry, guys. Once it's all said and done, you're all going to be freaking out, right? Like, and to this day, we use our own homegrown project management system,
Mhm.
right? Like, we have plans to go and do other things. But the reason I'm saying that is like, we didn't start that yesterday. And so
Yeah.
they can go see 6 years worth of tasks we've done for our client in the same system because we built our own. And that just goes to say that, like, you have to invest for the future as if we're going to be in business for the next 100 years. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's, and most agencies are, I don't know if they're thinking, I hope they are, but a lot of times we're like, we're on Trello today, Jira tomorrow, and we're going to be on ClickUp on Thursday. Like, that's not going to work because we just went from one thing to the other. We have to stick with the program and see if it can
Yeah.
really scale us.
Yeah. We should talk about that, about the steady hand approach to all this. I really like to know though, at what point did you kind of decide your philosophy was that thinking about growth in increments that were too small didn't work for you? You talk a lot about 10x thinking versus 2x thinking, 4x thinking. How did you make the leap, and how can agency owners make the leap of seeing the
Yeah.
possibilities in larger exponentials than they currently do? I mean, I think most agencies would be super happy to grow 25%. A
Right.
smaller subset would be happier to grow 50%, then a smaller subset to double in a year. That's considered fast growth, actually, for any kind of service business, but agencies especially. But your philosophy seems to be that thinking bigger when it comes to growth or thinking
Right.
faster is better. And I wonder, how did you get there? And how did you, after you got there, how did you start implementing that in the real world for your agency?
Honestly, I'm a very impatient person. And
Mhm.
so I say this to our developers every single day. It's a true story. I tell them every day. Do you know that Elon Musk is deploying 23 satellites like every other week?
Mhm.
Okay. And that means that this man is building the biggest communication network while we're all sleeping. You know what I'm saying? Why am I saying that? Because the amount of effort that the company's putting out to scaling is like they're putting so much energy into growing and growing and growing and growing and growing, but nobody's paying attention to that because he's at some point be like, wow, they have the fastest internet, the lowest latency anywhere in the world, on the water, remote villages. You could all have high-speed internet like Comcast, whatever else we have out there, because built into the infrastructure. So I really invest a lot in infrastructure. That's like my number one thing. I don't roll out a product until I know how that product is going to be. What does that conveyor belt look like? How are we going to get the clients? How are we going to, who does what? And if I can't solve that, like, I can't even go to sleep because that will stress me out, right? So that's why we built like the system and so on. And then we also realized that 80% of what we do doesn't actually scale. A lot of service companies, we spend a lot of time on things that do not actually add any value to our customers' business. Like, we get paid to grow somebody's business. We don't get paid to open up Excel spreadsheet, close Excel file, save it in a certain, like, that's organization admin work. But how much value does that add to my client's bottom line? And so, like, and if we just spend more time doing the thing that makes a difference in their business, we'll get paid more, we have more clients, and we know what to do with, right? Like, so everything is this 80-20 principle. And then we look at our clients' ad investment. A lot of times our customers are spending money on their local event, the local chamber of commerce, the 5K run, and some billboard or whatever else, or direct mail, and none of it was driving any leads for them. So it's like
Mhm.
all over, we're seeing inefficiency. So I always tell my clients, like, 80% of what you're doing, I'm probably going to cut out if we work together. Maybe we shouldn't work together. Because if you're emotionally attached to your local thing and you're that and this, you're not going to have money to capture demand on Google Ads when they search for your products or service. If you don't show up there and you're wasting money on these things, I won't allow you to do that because I'm going to help you grow your business. That's what you want me to do. But you have your own vision on how to do that, then you should just do it. Do you
Mhm.
see what I'm saying? It's and those people are 2x thinkers, in my opinion, Because if you maxed out your credit card and you showed up every single time when somebody searched for, at least during work hours, you're going to get calls for the thing that you do. And as agencies, we should tell them like that's where the money should be spent, and not, going to the bank, happy hour, buying
Right.
drinks or something for these people that you think are going to bring you business, yet you get nothing, right? Like
So kind
these
of sounds
these are all
like,
things. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, I'm listening to all your examples about really take about consistency and approach and consistency in systems. And it sort of sounds to me like one of the big differences between what you call 2x thinking, which feels like kind of a scattershot approach, right? You're doing a little of everything, versus a 10x approach is focus, right? Being more laser focused in a few lanes versus scattering your resources all over the place. The example you gave is a client who wants to throw money in a bunch of different directions, or an earlier example you gave was um, an agency where everybody internally is doing things their own way and doing things
Right.
differently. There's no consistency. So it sounds like you're obviously a high energy guy, but it sounds like the power of focus is one of the difference makers between the 2x and the 10x thinking. Do I have that right?
100%. And also very loving way too to our team, right? Like that waste time doing things that they think are important. But
Mhm,
if we're paid to Google, help them rank on Google, every little thing that we do should be helping them rank higher on Google,
mhm,
right? Like there's absolutely no time to do anything else.
mhm.
And also every minute of my employees is also high value time, because these guys are very, very professional what they do. I don't want them wasting their time going down rabbit hole trying to do competitive research when I could automate that, or show them here's three of the top competitors based on rankings, right? Three of the top competitors based on ranking and content, and save my employees time. So when they wake up, there's a report. They're not Googling and researching. So we
Yeah,
want to cut out the fat. Maybe that's so that we have efficient teammates. And when they're efficient, the clients get better results because they're
right.
not wasting time. Or we're on
Yeah.
the clock.
So this is another great takeaway I'm hearing from what you're saying too, and that is that in addition to being focused in your approach, whether it's your internal processes or systems or the way you counsel a client about how they should focus, but it sounds like um, being consistent in how you measure and set goals for results is super important, because you can't get to 10x if nobody has an agreement on, and that's agency and client, an agreement on where it is you're taking the thing, right? And so the more consistency you have in the end goal and the more communication around it, probably the faster you're going to get there, I would imagine.
Absolutely. And our clients aren't coming and asking us, can you get me to 10x? It's just that we show them the way that they can 10x.
Hmm.
Here's the pipeline, how we can make it 10 times bigger. And it's up to them, really, right? It's up to every entrepreneur. How hard do they want to work? How many trucks you need to buy if you're going to be a service company, or how many
Yeah.
whatever you need to have. But our job as marketers, growth marketers, like you and I mentioned earlier, it's like, hey, it's really hard to grow a business. And you know that, and I know that. With all of the things that are happening in our market, it's more crowded, more harder. There's more plumbers than you need. There's more roofers. There's more everybody trying to run ads. Everybody's moving from digital or traditional to digital, digital to more AI driven, automated, right? We're letting Google now do the bidding. We're letting Facebook do the automation. At this moment, everybody's got the same thing. So how are you going to differentiate yourself? So we have to be more vigilant on how we spend our time and our money, our clients'
Mhm.
resources, because that's how we get paid, right? So we can get them a clear path to where they're trying to go. And we want to make that every single month. And look, can you believe this? We have month-to-month contract, and we have one of the best retentions in the country.
Mm.
Right? We don't
Well,
want them to pay us because they have to pay us. We want them to pay us because we truly mean, bottom line, their best interest, and like literally measurable leads and opportunities in their CRM system that they can bank on.
yeah. Well, and you've also agreed with the measurement metrics with them in advance. And so it's a lot easier to hit your metrics if you've agreed on what they are, right? It's a
Right.
lot
No,
easier for the client to be happier about that, I would imagine.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're like every agency is listening here. whether you want to own it or not, you are their like chief revenue officer or their marketing outsourced CMO, whatever you want to call it. It's up to you to call it. But they're not expecting to pay you so that you can go and test some things out. They're expecting to pay you so that you'll do a better job than they'll ever do in-house.
Mhm.
They want to pay an expert. Like I don't want my plumber trying to figure out how to do plumbing on my house. You know, it's the last thing I want him
Mhm.
to do.
For
I want
sure.
him to tell me that this is going to be fixed when you walk out of here. I'll never have to call you. Hopefully, never have to call you for the next at least 6 months or a year. And whatever
Right.
you charge is cool with me, right? Like, take my money, but
Yeah.
you're the expert, and that's the privilege that we have and the opportunity we have. And if you ever like ask those customers, like, not everybody has the same mindset. Like I'm not in the acquisition game just so I can acquire. Technically, we're in the retention game.
Mhm.
Right? We're in the
Yep.
retention game because if you don't retain them, it doesn't really matter how good of a sales team you have or how good of a lead gen you have.
Yeah.
And this is why, like I said, in order to scale, you really have to leverage technology. You can't just, you know what I mean? You can't do it on a human kind of basis because nobody does that. You can't. I really don't think Tesla can make the number of cars if me and you were putting the thing together.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you, for sure. So I'm hearing consistency, I'm hearing process and system, I'm hearing technology, and I'm hearing communication, which is a very human thing. That means, clarity between the agency and the client about the business goals to be achieved, the measurements that are going to be made, how frequently they're going to be made. This is all 10x thinking versus 2x thinking, which is a more scattershot approach. So I guess one big question I have for you is what advice do you have for other agency owners on what's the low hanging fruit? Where should they, if
Right.
they want to start thinking more like 10Xers than 2Xers, what are some of the first things they should be looking at in their businesses? What are some of the first steps they should be thinking about taking?
I, I think it starts sort of like the day-to-day processes. Can it be delegated? Can it be outsourced? Can it be automated? Could we eliminate it? And I think just get back your time, right? Like if you can get back your time, you could put that in meaningful work that whether it's client work or something else. And I
Mhm.
think evaluating every single person, like where did their time go? Because I don't know how else to solve an agency business without having the concept of time, because we're paid for performance, but we
Right.
only our input is time, but output has to be right. Like so, I have to
Yes.
look at the input. How do we make that more efficient? Can we like repurpose things so that we're not recreating everything every day?
Mhm.
And so like if every entrepreneur did that part, then I would go next is can I go into automation mode? What can
Mhm.
I automate for my employees, like automating reports to the client, automate this, automate that? Can I automate my email prospecting for our business, our agency, which is what like a lot of what we do for agencies is automation. We call it autopilot. And I got that from Tesla. Kudos Tesla. Like the reason I say that is a lot of us need, yeah, I know, sorry, over
That's
the top
okay.
Elon fan here. But the reason I do that is because I don't want our team or agency partner, whoever, spending more time on things that they could be automated. And I'm
Right.
talking like the automation that we're talking about, like it uses AI to write custom emails. And we've done it so much that we trust it. We can close our eyes, it'll never screw up a single email.
Mhm.
And no one can do this. Like nobody would have the heart to do it, but it's kind of like we way past the worry zone. You know what I mean? We're like,
Yeah.
this email is gonna be so good that we'll never have to worry because with that strong of a prompt or whatever you want to call it in AI world, like this is
Mhm.
unbreakable. We fed the AI every information about that small business. You'll never write an intro sentence that is not going to be good for that business. That is more personalized than what any human can do and faster than any VA can do.
Mhm.
Wait, that's the next mode, in my opinion. Once you bought back your time, how do we automate it? And can we eliminate it? I mean, I'm totally down with getting rid of things we just shouldn't do anymore.
Mhm.
And that would get them to, start thinking like, now I just saved ourselves so many hours. We can bring another 15 clients and we don't need to increase our overhead.
Mhm. Right. Right. And then when for you did that sort of you had the system review, you had the automation, you had the repurposing of that time perhaps into revenue generation. at what point did you decide that launching off additional businesses was going to be for part of you? Is that just kind of in your DNA that you like
Yeah.
having this portfolio approach to the way you own your companies, or were they all created for the same specific reason, or just time and place
Not
and
at
different
all.
reasons? Okay.
Yeah. So like One IMS is our primary agency. It's a B2B agency. So
Hmm.
we work primarily with people that have high, long sales cycle, super high ticket products, complex sales, multiple buyers, like, there's team buying, right? There's a
Right.
CIO team, whoever's buying it. And these are larger organizations that have way bigger budgets and they require some of those higher caliber people. And
Hmm.
every time a small business, when I started, we used to help small businesses, but over time we scaled and scaled. We just went after bigger businesses. It made more sense. And our team needs more challenging projects like everybody's happy. But as small business would reach out to us and we just say, no, we can't help you. Well, you know what I mean? It's like, sorry, like you don't have the tech, the tool, whatever. We're just our team isn't set up for it. And
Hmm.
so I started this on the helping small businesses. Like that was my biggest thing. Like I was like self-taught developer building websites for people and wanting their
Yeah.
logo on their truck to match
Oh,
the
you have a
website.
passion
Like,
for it,
yeah,
obviously.
exactly. I'm like, I want to solve like the backbone of America isn't Fortune 500, believe it or not. It's that we employ the most employees, right? Like,
Yep.
so I'm like, why not help Joe, the plumber? And I say plumber with all like I love anyone. Any small business is proud driving around trucks, taking it. They come to my house, like without that guy, I wouldn't have
Mm.
running water.
Right.
So I'm like all about them. And by the way, they have the biggest disadvantage when AI and automation and everything comes. They're in like 16-year-old technology and their website's not mobile friendly and they don't show up on Google Business Profile, but these are the hardest working people in America, right? Like when I
Right.
say physical labor, they are the hardest working people.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, how do I help those people? And it's one of my agencies that we're building is a strict local businesses where
Mhm.
the keyword has near me in it, right? Not my B2B client who can spend $97 on a click and can justify because they sell a $16,000 software or whatever.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. That is a different product, different ballgame than my small business plumber who cannot spend that kind of money. They need to squeeze every dime and they want Google business profile optimization. You know what I mean? Like things
Mhm.
that they don't even know how to do.
Right.
So it's a different kind of approach, and it's actually not a centralized fulfillment model. It is going to be more distributed because we have local businesses everywhere, and I can have reps in different cities owning their market. It's like you can't mix the two up, is why
Got it.
Sharon and I have all these things that I'm looking at the business and say, I'm an agency scaling kind of guy. I help other agencies grow. The first thing I look is what's your niche?
Mhm.
And so I can be in 6 different niches in our company that's doing very well. Um, I can't be in that. I have to create something different.
Right.
So I'm building another one for those SMB kind of businesses.
Okay.
And so I have my one IMS, I have ClickX, the agency automation and the software and the coaching and whatever. And we're building another business called IMS. Literally, it's ims.net,
Mhm.
which is this is literally geared towards that person that I have so much heart for. Does that make
Mhm.
sense? Like that person, probably get pitched a lot and they're not looking to buy marketing services, but we're going to go out there and let them know, hey, there's a better solution out there
Mhm.
and it's going to be priced perfectly for their budgets. And
Mhm.
we're going to use automation so we can save time, right? Like,
Mhm.
because you can't have a $2,500 client if they can
Yeah.
only afford 1,000. So
This is interesting because it's really about not only 10xing. I think when a lot of agencies, actually, when a lot of entrepreneurs think of 10x, they're thinking of revenue or maybe profit if they're even distinguishing the two, which they don't always, in my experience. But
yeah,
what you're kind of talking about is also, to my mind, 10xing your impact.
yes,
You have created this portfolio of companies because each of them is designed to make a different impact um, on our economy. Really,
right,
one is made to serve enterprises, one is made to serve homegrown, maybe mom and pop or
right,
local or regional companies. I know you have a coaching and consulting business that is designed to help agencies do
correct.
better. So I think thinking about growth can mean so many things above and beyond thinking about the numbers.
Mhm.
Ideally, it'll show up in the numbers because everybody has to make a living and these things have to sustain themselves, but
Correct.
it's really about 10x in impact as well. And that can mean a lot of things besides revenue, right?
Absolutely. And I think if you're an entrepreneur and you don't think about impact, that you're very one of the very few people, because we go into it knowing that I can do better. Like
Yeah,
if you're an employee today and considering going on your own, it's because you feel like you're born for better. You want to do more, right? Like you're sort of like in a box sometimes. And I was an employee, like, and every time I went over and beyond, they're like, no, stay in your lane. Don't tell. We'll tell you if we need you to do
right.
that. I was like, okay. I
And
don't want
then
to get fired.
one of my other takeaways from everything you've been talking about is that um niche and focus in a lot of ways, but niche in
Yeah,
your agency is also a pathway to 10x a result because you can have deeper impact potentially and do better financially as well. I
right.
believe I'm a strong believer in that approach personally also. By serving by knowing who you serve and serving a very narrow slice of
Yeah.
clients, whatever that means for you, or doing a very narrow slice of things in your agency. And um yeah, I'm a big fan of putting all those things together to think bigger versus because I think sometimes thinking bigger gives us more energy
Oh, of
to
course.
keep moving forwards. Yeah. Yeah.
Half of your obstacles you're going to forget because you feel like there's a
Uh,
bigger, I mean, and look, going back to the niche, I think I would add to that is Cheesecake Factory is the only restaurant with that big of a menu. Most restaurants have one pager, right? Like,
yeah.
and so we as online marketing agencies, I can just kind of put them all as under one umbrella. We are trying to do it all. We literally trying to do it all. Social media management to God knows, like web dev and SEO, and these are all expertise that you need specialized people for.
Hmm.
And the
Definitely.
reason why, yeah, if you don't have those expertise, you need to have an outsource partner to do these work. Don't try it at home because you're not going to scale all of it, right? Like,
Hmm.
so that focus is really, really important. And I would rather be the best taco place in town than the best everything, and I actually don't come out good at anything.
Right. 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 No, I
No,
totally 100% agree with that. And I think that is definitely an ingredient to agency success as well as knowing who you serve and how you serve them because otherwise you're just chasing too many rainbows and
yeah,
it just doesn't end up scaling as you point out.
right.
Well,
It's the
this has been
repeatable process. The repeatable process
yeah,
isn't going to happen if the customers are all different shapes and sizes and have different problems, and your sales guy's really good at selling everything. But then you look at the kitchen. I literally take agency to a restaurant. I don't know. I'm a big food guy. I'm like,
yeah,
you go in the back, there's like a 700 orders pending, and there's like one cook trying to do it all. It's like not
mhm,
going to be good, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so kitchen and what you're selling kind of have to be in line. This is why McDonald's still hasn't done pizza yet because they don't want to make pizza. They just want to
mhm,
do what they do and they want to do it faster and better than everyone else.
mhm,
And so we should be admiring those kinds of systematic businesses and say, what can we take away from that? Because we're in the
mhm,
service business, because we can do it all, should we do it all? That's the other question. Should we be in all of these businesses?
mhm,
Because McDonald's can do it too. I'm sure the employees can figure out how to make pizza if you ordered it, but like they're not built for it. They don't have
right,
SOPs for it. So like cutting out all of that again goes back to what you said, focus.
mhm,
And that makes it more easier and repeatable and easier, it's scalable.
right. And then you know how to layer technology into all that based upon your experiences. Yeah. I totally see where you're heading with that. And I think this is fascinating and a really great framework for agencies potentially to think about or think through their growth and expansion ideas and plans, and a lot of potential filters to run those plans through. And so I'm so grateful to you for sharing some of your experience and then also sharing your expertise so generously here. And if agencies want to reach out to learn
Yeah.
more about you, your portfolio of businesses, and also how you have sort of helped other agencies think through this, what's the best places for them to reach out to
Absolutely.
you?
ClickX is literally built for agencies by agencies. ClickX.io, click and the letter X.io.
Yeah.
We literally want, like you said, I'm all about the impact that we can make on the agency world, because I can't serve every small business, but I could help an agency that can go and get a whole bunch of customers, and we
Mhm.
get to the same end at the end, right? Like it's the same thing.
Yeah.
If we can help those entrepreneurs, like we've done our job. And not
Yeah.
everybody's a good fit. That's the other thing. So we have agencies that are e-com focused. We have agencies that are very niche and small business and service sector focused. We have agencies that are helping business brokers. These are not industries that I would have gone or thought about. They all have experience in those industries. So we
Mhm.
get to serve in all of these different capacities, grow their businesses, and make sure their customers are getting the best ROI so they could retain them.
Mhm.
We're, like I said, well, my hands are in all kinds of pots trying to help
I know
any way we
that. Yeah. I know that, but I think, what's consistent to me about all of them is you've identified a specific need and you're thinking about creating a very specific impact on each of them. And so, this has been a great conversation. I'm so grateful to you for sharing with everybody. And I hope all of you have learned a little bit about how to maybe think differently through your growth plans and your goal setting. And maybe think about, 10xing it instead of 2xing it the next time you look at your business plan. So, Solomon, thank you so much for joining us
My
on the
pleasure.
Innovative Agency. Really appreciate being with you today. And thank you to all of you for joining us as well for the conversation. And we will see you on the next episode. Until then, everybody stay well. Okay.